That's smithville.com. Mallard Grodner Attorneys, providing legal services to clients and the community. Understanding, expertise, results. Bloomington and Indianapolis. lawmg.com. IU Alumni Association, connecting IU's network of alumni and sharing the Indiana spirit through scholarships, advocacy, and volunteerism. alumni.iu.edu. IU Center for Rural Engagement, extending IU Bloomington resources to improve Hoosier lives in partnership with communities and organizations. rural.indiana.edu. And by WTIU members. Thank you.
Coming up on Indiana Newsdesk. The Cook plant in Ellettsville has been emitting a cancer-causing chemical for years, but state and federal environmental agencies didn't tell residents.
I want to know from them, what are you emitting? And not just asking the question, what's cancer causing, but what would be a potential carcinogen.
A Monroe County community is selling 4 vacant buildings for $1 in hopes of bringing new life into its once booming downtown.
The town does not have the money to rehab these buildings, the money to put into the buildings. We just have the money to keep the town running.
Coming up, imagining the possibilities of the old limestone town of Steinsville. And a lot is on the line for the Hoosiers following last weekend's huge loss to the Buckeyes. Ahead, what to expect as the Hoosiers head into tomorrow's matchup against Maryland. Those stories, plus the latest news headlines from across the state, right now on Indiana Newsdesk. Welcome to Indiana Newsdesk. I'm Joe Wren. The state is preparing to vaccinate potentially hundreds of thousands of Hoosier children against COVID-19. The FDA could approve the Pfizer vaccine for kids ages 5 to 11 as early as Monday. As Brandon Smith reports, the state says the vaccine rollout for children should be similar to the earlier COVID vaccine process the state followed with adults.
Indiana Department of Health's Dr. Lindsay Weaver says the state has already been preparing to get children under 12 vaccinated against COVID-19. She says there are more than 1,300 vaccination sites around the state ready for that age group.
That includes a site in every single county across the state. As soon as it's approved, we'll update our rshot.in.gov map so you know which locations are offering to 5 to 11-year-olds.
Weaver says the state expects to receive more than 200,000 doses for children under 12 next week, with more to come after that.
Personally, I believe this first round will be definitely enough for everybody who's waiting and excited to go get vaccinated.
Weaver says any local organization, including schools and churches, can ask the Department of Health to set up a vaccine clinic in their community. For Indiana Public Broadcasting, I'm Brandon Smith at the State House.
Now, the state has administered nearly 7 million vaccine doses so far. According to state data, about 57% of eligible Hoosiers are fully vaccinated. Roughly 300,000 COVID booster shots have been administered throughout the state, and health officials say they expect that number to grow in the next month. Now, in Monroe County, the county commissioners voted this week to extend the COVID public health order through the end of November, or until the county is reporting fewer than 50 COVID cases per 100,000 residents and is in the blue advisory on the state COVID-19 dashboard. Monroe County is still in the yellow advisory on the state map, where it's been for a month, but there is promising news. Cases per 100,000 have been declining since September. Governor Eric Holcomb says workforce training is a key part of the state's solution to helping companies fill an abundance of open jobs. His remarks came during a seminar this week on current workforce issues with the U.S. Chamber of Commerce. Panelists from labor unions, international companies, and government talked about current challenges keeping workers from jobs. Many spoke of a lack of affordable childcare or pathways to work that don't involve four-year college. Now, Holcomb says it was apparent long before the pandemic that job skills training would be essential. He says now that need is greater than ever.
Those are the link to success for an individual, for a community, then for a state. And what we don't want it to be is the missing link.
Indiana's most recent unemployment data from September shows there are nearly 140,000 unfilled jobs in the state. Well, the Cook Group Incorporated plant in Ellettsville is putting a chemical into the air that the Environmental Protection Agency now says can increase your risk for cancer long term. Ethylene oxide is used to sterilize medical equipment, spices, and other things, and is responsible for higher lifetime cancer risks near industrial facilities around the country. Indiana Public Broadcasting's Rebecca Thiel looked into why Ellettsville residents weren't notified.
David Kirk grew up in Ellettsville and moved into his childhood home with his wife and 6-year-old daughter 4 years ago. He says it's a quiet neighborhood and more affordable than nearby Bloomington. But what Kirk really loves is the big woodlot in the back, where he and his daughter like to look for animal tracks and fossils.
Whatever this type of fossil is, we've got all sorts of them back here. And I've always been able to find them since I was a kid, and still to this day. My daughter finds them by the plastic cup full.
But just through these woods is the Cook facility, about 200 yards from Kirk's house. As we get closer, you can hear the low whir of the plant grow louder, competing with cicadas in the trees. Cook uses a chemical called ethylene oxide to sterilize its products. In 2016, the EPA found it was far more toxic than the agency originally thought. 30 times more toxic to adults and 60 times more toxic to kids. Long-term exposure to it can cause blood cancers and breast cancer in women, among other things. But even after living here for 4 years, no one told Kirk that Cook was putting this into the air.
It seems like it was kind of swept under the rug.
According to the latest EPA National Air Toxics Assessment, the likelihood of getting cancer in Ellettsville over the course of a lifetime from air pollution alone was higher than the national average in 2014. It was also higher than any other area of the state, except perhaps Cleveland Cliffs Steel Mill in Portage. And EPA work files show those levels were doubled for people like Kirk, who live closest to the plant, reaching risk levels that the agency calls unacceptable. But why weren't Ellettsville residents told? And whose job was it to tell them? That's not clear. Ted Palma recently retired from the EPA after working in its Office of Air Quality for more than 20 years. The year that the EPA updated its lifetime cancer risk map, which reflected just how toxic ethylene oxide is, it lit up with hundreds of blue hotspots that weren't there before. Palma says the agency worked to release the data as quickly as it could.
Each of the states and regionals and local partners, and where people in local communities contacted us, we did everything in our power to reach out to them and tell them exactly what was going on.
Palma says the EPA doesn't have the staff to check the data at every ethylene oxide facility in the country. It's up to the states to do that and work with facilities to address those emissions. And while the Indiana Department of Environmental Management reached out to Cook about its emissions, it didn't contact residents. But Michelle Mabson feels the EPA should take some responsibility for not informing residents, even if it wasn't obligated to do it. She's a staff scientist with the environmental group Earth Justice and previously worked as a fellow in the EPA's Office of Children's Health Protection.
This wasn't a routine business as usual piece of information to be sharing, especially because of the changes to the toxicity information.
The EPA's own watchdog group has criticized the agency. The Office of Inspector General said the EPA failed to notify residents about cancer risks near the 16 highest ethylene oxide emitting plants, much less lower emitting facilities like Cook. Many of the plants that use ethylene oxide are also located in Black, Brown, Indigenous, and lower income communities. Mabson says the EPA should have coordinated better with state agencies to make sure residents knew and understood their health risks.
And that initial proactive approach should not have to be burdened should not be coming from an already burdened community.
Ellettsville residents are likely breathing cleaner air than what they were 7 years ago. Cook has made several voluntary upgrades since 2019 to drastically lower its emissions. But just how little and how much it emitted in the past is less certain. Most industrial plants report their pollution themselves, and there aren't that many state and federal regulators to make sure those numbers are right. Sometimes the EPA even allows companies to change their numbers after the fact. When the National Air Toxics Assessment was released showing the higher cancer risk in Ellettsville, Cook sent a letter to the EPA. It said the plant overreported its emissions for 2014 and 2017, and that those numbers should be about half what it originally said. In July of this year, about a month after we visited the plant, Cook asked the EPA to change its emissions numbers again, this time for 2014, 2017, and every year in between. And the EPA accepted those revisions for all but 1 year. In an email statement, EPA Region 5 officials said the agency usually accepts revisions when facilities attest that they're accurate. All of this makes it hard to tell exactly how much of a risk the plant poses to people living nearby, like David Kirk.
Ocean, millions of years ago, billions, I don't know.
Kirk says it's too late to change what he might have been exposed to. He's more concerned about what the chemical could be doing to his daughter.
My mother passed away from cancer in 2008. So, was it a contributing factor? I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. But I don't want it to be a factor anymore.
Ellettsville Town Council member William Ellis says he feels more at ease knowing Cook's ethylene oxide levels have gone down, and wants the EPA to investigate what damage could have been done to residents. He hopes, now that the emissions are lower, that won't dissuade people from moving here.
Boy, all right.
We hopped in the car with Ellis to tour the town's west side, where Ellettsville has built out infrastructure in the hopes of attracting new businesses.
But when we're talking light industrial, especially commercial, you're going to need large tracts of land. And that's what this offers here.
Ellis says one thing's for sure, he's going to ask more questions before another industrial plant moves in.
I want to know from them, what are you emitting? And not just asking the question, what's cancer causing, but what would be a potential carcinogen? Because that later on may flip to one, and also we don't want to spew it out in the air.
But if one of those chemicals does become a known carcinogen, it's not clear who would be responsible for notifying people in Ellettsville, which makes it unlikely that residents will know about it.
Well, a lot to unpack there. My colleague Rebecca Thiel joins us now to share more about this story. So these pollution issues in Ellettsville have been going on for years, but this is really the first time I've heard of this. How did you come across this?
I really stumbled upon it, Joe. I was looking for a new home in the area, and I interview so many people who say, I didn't know this was here. I didn't know this pollution, this contamination was here. And I wish I had known before I moved. So I wanted to show not only myself, but our audience that you can look up some of this information yourself before you make that decision. But I really didn't expect to see this cancer-causing chemical coming out of Cook.
Yeah, there are a lot of numbers thrown around in this story, but what's the takeaway for Ellettsville residents? Is it, we're not really sure?
How much the risk is? Yes,
Yeah.
Yes, that's exactly the takeaway, unfortunately. Cook has done a lot of work to get those emissions down, but we've also seen that the EPA and IDEM aren't necessarily looking at Cook's numbers either. So unfortunately, there are a lot of questions still hanging out in the air for Ellettsville residents. Town Council member William Ellis did say that he's hoping to bring the EPA in to maybe do a presentation for residents. And I really hope that happens. I hope that Ellettsville residents get some answers there.
So this story took many months to put together. Why did it take so long?
Well, a lot of reasons. It is an investigative report, so that does take time just by its very nature. But mostly because we were really hoping to get on-camera interviews with Cook, the EPA, and IDEM. You know as well as I do, Joe, that written questions, they come with a lot of jargon. You don't always get to answer the right follow-up questions to really understand and make sure that people get the answers that they need. So unfortunately that's what we got here, and we tried to get those interviews, but we eventually had to say we have to move on to get this information out to Ellettsville residents.
We just have 30 seconds. What's next with this? I assume, are you going to follow up on this?
Definitely,
Yeah.
Definitely. We're going to see whether or not we are going to get that presentation from the EPA. Certainly, I think that Cook will probably respond to this story as well. So I think there's a lot to come here.
Okay, Rebecca, thank you so much for your reporting. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Joe.
Coming up next on Indiana Newsdesk. A central Indiana community so desperately wants to breathe new life to its downtown that it's offering to give a developer 4 historic buildings right off its main street for $1. And it might be hard to get a good night's sleep in this creepy room. Coming up inside the new suite at the Bloomington Graduate Hotel that's inspired by the hit Netflix show Stranger Things. These stories and more right here on Indiana Newsdesk.
Year after year, PBS has been bringing you the news you trust.
We care about the things that are going to affect the lives of each and every American.
The in-depth analysis you need.
What we normally see in these big crises.
And the true stories that have to be told.
We're a place that people can come not just to find out what happened, but why it matters.
It's all thanks to the support of viewers like you. Thank you. And stay tuned to America's most trusted network.
Your favorite member benefit is getting better and bigger.
This is wonderful.
Over the next year, Passport is adding new shows and doubling the number of episodes for you to stream.
They give us all that they've got.
From your favorite cooking and travel series.
Even the stairs are breathtaking.
To history specials and award-winning documentaries. Better and bigger.
That really is the fun part.
Stream on any device with Passport on the PBS Video app.
Welcome back to Indiana Newsdesk. An external review of Indiana State Police agencies found they need to bolster the recruitment and promotion of minority and female officers and increase training about racial bias. Governor Eric Holcomb ordered the third-party review more than a year ago as part of his plan for greater diversity, equity, and inclusion in state government. Now, some of the report's recommendations have already been implemented, including the distribution of body cameras to frontline state troopers. Other agencies have pledged to implement report recommendations, including the State Training Academy and Board. The Academy will develop de-escalation training specifically for those dealing with mental health challenges. It also says it will put together a work group to reevaluate training methods, potentially including implicit bias training. An organization that helps provide clothes and other necessities to people recently released from jail is asking for help to meet a growing need. As Lizzie Kabowski reports, the nonprofit is asking for warm clothes donations as we head into winter.
Angela Stanley is an intern for New Leaf, New Life. It is her job to collect and sort items for the necessity drive. She says inmates are often released from jail wearing the same clothes they wore when they were first incarcerated.
And that can be no shoes, shorts, t-shirts, and they might have no other possessions.
She says that can create a potentially hazardous situation in the winter if they don't have clothing to accommodate the cold weather. Stanley says the Winter Necessity Drive is an opportunity for people to get rid of things they might not wear anymore and pass them on to people in need.
So by collecting those things, we're hoping to give them directly to inmates so they have warm clothes to wear once they're released.
Stanley says they're working to collect shoes, sweatpants, sweatshirts, coats, hats, and gloves. For Indiana Newsdesk, I'm Lizzie Kabowski.
The Necessity Drive began about 2 weeks ago and goes through mid-November. According to New Leaf, New Life, about 75% of inmates use the organization's services both prior to and after release. The nonprofit serves between 25 and 40 people every day. The tiny town that was once the center of Indiana's limestone industry is offering the business deal of a lifetime. Mitch Legan reports from Steinsville, where a group of historic buildings is going for the same price as a cup of coffee at the general store.
If you have $1 and a good idea, these 4 buildings in Steinsville could be yours. The town's hoping a business person might be able to inject some life into what was once the limestone capital of Indiana.
Kelsey McLaughlin was born and raised in Steinsville and says it really hasn't changed much since she was a kid.
They've been here since my entire life, and they've pretty much looked this way or gotten worse my entire life.
Off Main Street stand 4 buildings that have been empty for at least 3 decades. Over a century ago, they were home to dry goods shops, hardware stores, and other businesses that served a bustling quarry town.
I just have seen pictures, and just to see pictures of what it was like when these buildings were in use, to see people gathered down here, I would love to see that again.
Steinsville has the honor of being the birthplace of Indiana's limestone industry. The Monon Railroad expanded to the area in the 1850s, and by 1860, there were 4 limestone quarries. Steinsville became a boom town. The population eventually shot to 1,000 residents or more. Local limestone has been used in monuments across the country, including the Soldiers and Sailors Monument in Indianapolis. The 4 buildings for sale in Steinsville were built just before construction started in the state capital.
They are examples of the limestone industry work that was so prominent in the community at the time. You had a skilled labor force that could do the cutting and the carving, and that you can see all of that on the facades of the buildings.
DeLassy had been keeping an eye on the Steinsville buildings since the 1990s. After watching them deteriorate for decades, he brought a new idea to McLaughlin and the town council. Sell the buildings to the right person for $1.
Hopefully they would bring them back to their normal state and we would have businesses here in town again.
The town has partnered with Indiana Landmarks on the offer. They're looking for someone who will buy the buildings and has enough money to stabilize and refurbish them. There's a reason they're going for $1.
The buildings have some serious needs in terms of structural repairs. One of the buildings is missing part of one of its rear walls.
The town does not have the money to rehab these buildings, the money to put into the buildings. We just have the money to keep the town running. The town owns them right now, so we're not getting tax dollars from ourselves.
Locals have floated barber shops, craft stores, or co-work spaces. At this point, McLaughlin would take just about anything other than apartments. The building's historic designation limits what can be done with the structures, but also opens the door for tax credits and other funding. DeLassy says there's been a lot of interest in the buildings, but no official bids so far. They're taking proposals through November 15th. For Indiana Newsdesk, I'm Mitch Legan.
After surprising the college football world last year by making it to a major bowl game, Indiana is in danger of missing the postseason altogether. Adam Pinsker tells us what Indiana needs to do to get back on track.
A lot can change in a year, and it certainly has for the Indiana Hoosiers. After finishing last season at 7-2 and heading into this season in the preseason top 25, Indiana has lost 3 games in a row, including last Saturday's 54-7 loss to number 5 Ohio State. Coach Tom Allen is trying to keep his team's spirits high.
Focus on the things that we can control, which is our attitude and our mindset and the way we approach every day. And to me, that's really the focus is the way that we think and the way that we approach certain things.
To become bowl eligible, Indiana must finish with 6 wins. The Hoosiers are 2-4 heading into Saturday's game with Maryland. IU has to win 4 of its next 5 games to make a bowl game. The toughest remaining opponent the Hoosiers will face is number 6 Michigan in Ann Arbor on November 6th, followed by back-to-back home games against Rutgers and Minnesota, and the season finale against Purdue and West Lafayette. But Coach Allen says his attention's not focused on the remainder of the schedule.
It is solely focused on one opponent, that's Maryland. And everything you do, all your energy, everything you have, when you do, all focuses on getting yourself in the best position possible to play your best on the road and get a win.
And while winning seems elusive lately, the Hoosiers coaching staff says it's not for lack of trying. The Hoosiers have had a tough schedule, already facing 5 teams in the Associated Press Top 25. Some, like Ohio State, have players who are future NFL stars, but IU's coaches say the players aren't giving up.
There wasn't a kid that checked out. There was a bunch of kids battling. Our starters were in the 4th quarter, so no one checked out. I don't think those kids on that field at one moment quit.
For Indiana Newsdesk, I'm Adam Pinsker.
And fans of the sci-fi horror show Stranger Things are going to get excited about this news. There's a new suite at the Bloomington Graduate Hotel that's inspired by the hit Netflix show. And as Brock Turner reports, it's open just in time for Halloween.
The hotel combined rooms 318 and 320 into one single suite. What was completely mid-century modern is now a blast back to the 80s.
The commitment to bringing the right pieces into this space is really unprecedented.
It took 6 months to design the suite, a week to construct it, and 72 hours to actually put it all together, and no detail has been overlooked. One of the couches was driven from Arizona to Indiana. The wallpaper is the same that was used in the show, from the same manufacturer. Other details include newspaper clippings and the Will Byers scribbled map of the Upside Down.
I love the map that's been created. Lover's Lake is there, where they found Will. X marks the spot is there.
Board games the kids play on the show are in the bedroom. Even small details like the burnt phone from episode 2 hangs on the wall. Parton says people who have never been to Bloomington or even to Indiana have inquired about staying in the suite.
Making people's days creating experiences for people. That's what we do in hospitality, and that makes me go home every day feeling proud.
For Indiana Newsdesk, I'm Brock Turner.
The suite is available for booking now. It's part of a whole upside-down experience that also includes tickets to the Wonder Lab. A portion of the proceeds from each booking goes to Wonder Lab. And it's not totally random that the replicate suite is Bloomington. Stranger Things is set in Indiana in the fictional town of Hawkins. Well, that's the end of this program, but our work continues online as we cover the news throughout the week at WTIUnews.org. Have a great weekend.
Indiana Newsdesk is made possible in part by Smithville Fiber Internet, streaming TV, home security and automation in Southern Indiana. More information at smithville.com. Mallard Grodner Attorneys providing legal services to clients and the community. Understanding, expertise, results. Bloomington and Indianapolis. lawmg.com. IU Alumni Association connecting IU's network of alumni and sharing the Indiana spirit through scholarships, advocacy, and volunteerism. alumni.iu.edu. IU Center for Rural Engagement extending IU Bloomington resources to improve Hoosier lives in partnership with communities and organizations. rural.indiana.edu. And by WTIU members. Thank you.